So how or could or should we respond to colleagues, students, and maybe even their parents who insist that they should be using the language of instruction when watching a video lesson rather than using their first language?
Thanks, Catherine. Yeah, that is a great question, and it does come up quite frequently. I think I would start by just sharing the research, with the different parties at whatever level is appropriate for that different group. So with educators, I would definitely pass on the information. I would steer them towards that webinar that you did in June, or to any Jim Cummins video. And there's more than enough evidence there to help convince any educators about why it's important to access first language within the classroom. I think also I would just, try to have a conversation about the importance of affirming student identity. And when we affirm that student's identity and their language is part of that identity, all of a sudden that student confidence increases and their belief in themselves increases. And, that is a good thing. That's what we want. And Binogi really offers the opportunity for students to access content, which is what all educators want. They want the students to get at that content. And so it doesn't matter with Binogi what your language of instruction is, you're getting content. So I think that is a piece that educators can really buy into. I think also for educators, helping them to think about, as Jen mentioned earlier, the end goal, the finish line. Where do we want kids? We want kids to go forth into the world, accessing every skill that they have available to them. And that includes being a multilingual learner. They come to us as multilingual learners. We want them to leave as multilingual learners as they go off into the world. And that includes being multiliterate. And I think Binogi offers a really unique opportunity there, because I cannot, as Wafa said, I cannot help my students with Arabic or Tigrinya. And I certainly can't help them read it, and I can't help them write it, but they can access that content, and they can be listening and they can be reading on the subtitles and increasing their own understanding of their own first language literacy, which is really incredible. So I think that that's a lot of evidence for educators that will help them to buy into it. I think in terms of students, that is something that comes up. And in fact, it happened today. I had two boys saying, no, miss, I want to do it in English. I want to do it in English. So I said, you know what, do it first in your language. And then you really understand what the video is about. You know what the content is, then go back and listen in English. And you can do the quiz. You can flip between the two. And I think that helps students then to understand we're not exclusively using that first language, but we can, flow between the two. And as Jen said, it's a fluid process. And then I think also it's really important, for me as an educator, then to be helping students to, for me to be affirming their identity and saying, you know what, you don't just need to use your first language. You might want to, because you're a multiliterate and multilingual person. So, it's a good thing that you can do this, and it's something to celebrate, and it's something that not everyone has. So it's a real commodity, it's a value. So I think that those are some of the things that I would do to help any of those students or educators go ahead and understand about how they can use this. And I would use the same kind of conversation with parents, because we know parents want the absolute best for their students, and to be able to, for parents to think about, when your child graduates, they're going to be speaking in how many different languages, and if they can read and write in those languages as well, imagine the jobs that are available to them. And I think parents will absolutely be on board with that, because what we want is success for our students in the end. And Binogi will I think, help provide that opportunity.